Welcome back to the scientific writing class. This lecture will be about title and significance statements. First of all, I would like to start with a question to you. Do you have a memorable title of a talk or a paper or so that you remember just because it was so memorable that you like to think about it? And maybe you have one. I'm going to share one with you that I collected. So this is by a colleague of mine, Ko van Hoesteden, who's a professor in Amsterdam. And his title was Methane Flux from Arctic Tundras. It's the hydrology stupid. And you see this title already very much caught my attention. And I attended this talk just because of the title. So the title is very important because it's the most read part of your article. If you look at the numbers here, I showed them to you before, most people only will read your title, then they will read your abstract, and only a few ones actually will read your paper. And the chances, if they read your title, they read your abstract, and they read your paper. If you're already bored by your title, then they will likely not read your paper. The importance of the title is it's most read part of your article. It predicts and describes the content of the paper as accurately as possible. The keywords are very important for searchers, and because they can also be searched online. And you have to choose the words carefully, not too complex, but enough detail. And effective title could easily promote your research. So this is the big importance of the title. And title length typically is between 10 to 20 words. There's little correlation with article success, the title length. In high-impact journals, sometimes they limit the title length to 50 characters, which makes it even harder. And sometimes running titles are required. So this is asked by the journals. This is even a shorter version of your title that the journal uses. And so you have to provide this as well. So about the title content, what could be included in a title, for example, taxonomic and regional information is okay, often cited in specialized fields. Title state findings is also okay in ecology, but not in all fields. For example, not okay in the medical science papers. The questions, wordplay, witty titles, okay, they have more downloads, but fewer citations. So you might think about if you actually want to use this title. And it's important to focus on simple language relevant to your topic. Now, how to write a title. I'm going to give you some suggestions now, how you can work on just condensing your research into one title of a few words. So, for example, start from your research question. You can write down what is the difference between X and Y. Then you condense it down, a comparison of X and Y. How does X affect Y? So you can already see how this is much shorter, and then at the end becomes the effect of X on Y. Some more practical suggestions about the title. You should avoid full sentences. They are excessively wordy, and this is not possible with these short titles. Then questions. Well, while on the rise, titles that incorporate questions are still present in less than 10% of all published articles. So maybe rather not, my suggestion. Subtitles, well, often people use the title also following the paper structure with general subject or topic. You can do it, but maybe also not. So these are some guidelines, what you should avoid and rather not, and also not for writing titles. Here's also a link to a YouTube guide, how to write titles. Basically, it gives you some advice how you can condense your written down text to boil it down to one title. So, for example, you write down what is my paper about. You write down a lengthy sentence. This is now a medical example here. You write down my paper studies how program volume affects outcomes for liver transplant patients on waiting lists. Then you write down the method. I employed a case study. What or who was the subject of my study? I studied 60 liver and so on. What were the results? Positive correlations. And then you highlight these main subjects of this lengthy sentence, and you put it down into this list, basically, you see here. And then you delete the extra elements, basically. you boil it down to the few keywords and phrases from these, and then you create a working title. And this is shown here in detail if you watch this YouTube video, also with examples, and you can just try it with your paper title or your master's thesis. So these are some suggestions again for the title. Write the title after you've written your paper. Include all your paper's essential terms. Keep it short and to the point. Avoid using jargons or abbreviations, same as with the abstract. Avoid the abbreviations and use keywords that closely relate to the content. Now here's some nice titles from literature, also of the Humboldt University, that papers that people were included here, and you can see from the title range, the biodiversity is one of the key points here. The former Iron Curtain still drives biodiversity profit trade-offs in German agriculture, or I like this one, breeding ecology of the endemic black lark on natural steppe and abandoned croplands in post-Soviet Kazakhstan. So when you look at these titles, they're all very, very dense and all very nice to read. This one is also a very simple one, mapping and modeling of changes in agricultural intensity in Europe. So all of these titles are good examples of titles. So finally now we come to the significance statements. Significance statements, what are they? Some journals ask you for significance statements. So they are optional, not technically written explanations of why the research or development was done. Why is it important? This is now copied from the journal Atmosphere Meteorology Science, and this is also the rule, or not, similar to other journals, like for example PNAS. The importance here is the significance statements. They are kind of broader written or broader formulated. They focus on why the work matters and provide additional context for why the work is relevant to science and society. This is an important aspect, has become a more important aspect of our research. Why is our research relevant to science and society? So specific questions for the significance statements, or how to phrase the significant statements, are formulated here. What is the purpose of the work? What are the key findings and why do they matter? What follow-up science is suggested by these findings? And here you see an example from this journal also, how this significance statement is provided in addition to your paper. So the significance statement is not an abstract, not a rewriting of your abstract. It is also not a plain language statement. It is a summary of your article, again with these three questions that I provided you before. And you see here is the significant statement for an article that was published in Changing Climate. And it's provided extra by the journal. And some journals just publish these significance statements on their homepage so that readers can easily browse through them. Again, it is not the abstract. And here another significance statement from, this is now the journal PNAS that I mentioned before. And you see here's the normal research article with the abstract below, but here's the significance statement. And you can see from the size, but also from what the content is, that the significant statement is different. Why significant statements, and why is it different now to what we see in the abstract? So the abstract summarizes your scientific work. The significant statement also includes your work and puts it in place to the society. So why significant statements? It raises the public awareness and support for scientific research, which is very important and of high benefit for us, so for science and society. It communicates the importance of your article in the science to the society, and it also enhances the accessibility and impact of your article. So extending the benefit to scientists in other fields, those who fund our research, and society as a whole. So again, the big difference to the abstract is that this significance statements here include, also especially also for this journal, you have to draw your research into the context of society.